We've been travelling for 3 days to literally fly to the other side of the world to come here to a small town called Sorong on the northwestern tip of Papua New Guinea on the Indonesian side. And we're here on the trail of the shark fin trade. So we're going out tonight to try and find out what's going on. So we just went to a small warehouse there that was selling sea cucumbers and various other things. We found a lot of very small shark fins, really tiny ones, which are worth very little in the market, but they're still worth something. And then we found what appeared to be a baby whale shark. It was a very small whale shark, and it might have been either caught, an adult caught and taken from the womb. It was that small, but it was very small. Just amazing to see a reef that hasn't been bombed. So beautiful. Not just the coral gardens, which are so fantastic, diversity of fish and the sheer number of fish is just amazing. But even this reef, there's no sharks. And so this isn't a reef as it should be in a pristine system. So we've got on the boat now and we're just about to haul the net in, and the wind's really getting up, it's getting a bit stormy, so this is going to make a difficult process even more difficult. So we just watched them pull in nearly 1.5 miles of net. There was nothing in it except a few sponges and squid eggs, so no fish whatsoever. Captain's told us he hasn't caught anything in 4 days, and for the 10-day trip they've been out, they just have a few rays drying on the roof there and a couple of sets of shark fins. This is day 2 with the shark boat. They're just putting out a 2-mile line. We're further out to sea this time, and the captain is very hopeful he's going to have a better luck than he did last night. So Indonesia is one of the biggest suppliers of sharks to the shark fin market, and what we've been hearing anecdotally, and certainly backed up by experience here, is that most of the big sharks have been fished out. So they're now going after the smaller ones. They're getting smaller and smaller. The fins are not really very valuable, but it really is fishing to the bottom of the barrel. So it's not just the sharks that are being impacted by this fishery. They've brought up a turtle today which drowned in the nets. It was all wrapped in the net, obviously struggled very hard to try and get its last breath. But if you imagine all these boats out here, the amount of turtles, literally thousands and thousands of turtles being caught in these nets and drowned. So I sometimes think when people order a bowl of shark fin soup, they should not just get shark fin soup, they should get, with every 10 bowls, a dead turtle, and all the rest of the bycatch which is just thrown away. The fact that they're only catching small sharks actually makes some sense. We know that a lot of Indonesian fishermen have been going down to Australia illegally. A lot of them are going to Papua New Guinea, and that's a long way to go. But because basically they've overfished the sharks here, they want to get big sharks, they have to go a long way.
last year when we went to the beach that we visited the year before, you said there'd been a lot more finners there. What did it look like, that beach, and what was going on?
Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. There was about 20 small boats there. We got there in the morning, so they'd just come back from fishing, and we saw some shark carcasses on the beach that had just been finned. Again, relatively small sharks. And just towards the end of the time, we were walking around the beach, we came upon someone that caught a live green turtle and had started cutting it up. It was still alive while they slaughtered it, and they were using it for bait for the shark hooks. Apparently the intestines of turtles is very good bait for sharks. So very depressing.
So we're coming to the end of our 2-week trip here, and we always seem to be one step behind the shark finning activity. What we have seen is that the shark populations here seem to be much reduced from what they were previously. All the sharks we've seen, and parts of sharks we've seen, have been from juveniles. From the divers' observations, there's very, very few sharks around on the reefs where you'd expect to see them. And so the picture here is pretty grim. It looks like we're really at the end of the shark finning activities here because simply the sharks are not here any longer. Another thing we've just seen is just how difficult it is to police an area like this. There are so many little islets, so many inlets that people can hide in. You can go past and somebody might be in there. Similarly, you go on a beach one day, there's nothing there. The next day, there'll be a whole fishing camp. So policing these waters and monitoring the activities that go on is a very difficult and expensive job. We've seen that the threats to this area are not only the shark finning activities. The turtles are being killed for their meat and for their eggs. The reefs are sometimes being bombed with dynamite fishing, destroying them in the process. And also there's the live reef fish market. So everywhere last year where the shark fin boats were, what we now have is this whole network of these live reef fish capture stations. And the guys will go out in the small boats with the lines, catch like these rock groupers, the wrasses, all the big fish on the reef, and keep them in these live nets. And then as we saw, there's a collection boat that comes around periodically, puts them together, and then they're taken out and flown out to places like Hong Kong and Singapore. So as they've removed the sharks, now they're moving down the food chain to take the next level of predatory fish, be it the rays or the reef fish, and gradually degrading the reefs here. We're not going to solve it at this level. If people offer the relatively poor people large amounts of money to fin even the last shark here, they will go after and take the last shark. And the only way to stop it is really to persuade people that they don't want to eat and sponsor this trade by buying shark fin soup.